Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Cheyenne, loving warrior for Christ, and I just wanted to share something with y'all. The leading rabbi in Israel is saying that they're waiting for the arrival of the Messiah, and they're not talking about Jesus, just so y'all know. They're talking about the Antichrist, but they're not going to call him the Antichrist. They're going to call him the Messiah, which is going to mislead a lot of people. That's why we need to warn as many people as we can, so they know that this Messiah that they're talking about isn't Jesus. The reason why I know this will confuse a lot of people is because I told my sister about this, and she knows about the Bible, but she doesn't read the end time Bible prophecies, so there's a lot of stuff she don't know about, and she actually thought that they meant Jesus was coming to Israel, and she was asking me if she should try to get to Israel. And I had to explain to her, no, this is not Jesus they're talking about. And I told her that they're talking about the Antichrist. Then she told me that we probably need to tell as many people as we can because she was confused. And I agreed with her. We do need to tell as many people as we can so they don't get confused and think they're talking about Jesus. Jesus has warned us that this was going to happen. Matthew 24, verse 26. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So, just by reading that scripture right there, it's telling us not to go after this Antichrist. That means that, we don't go to Israel to see this man. We don't watch him on television, and we don't pay him any attention. We ignore him. I think there's a good reason why we should ignore him, and I think we should follow Jesus on his instructions. He's saying don't go after him, and don't, pretty much ignore him. And it could be because this lawless one, the Antichrist, he will have supernatural abilities. And if you're in the audience whenever he's announcing himself and he has supernatural powers, there is a chance that he might be able to mind control the audience. He may be able to influence you and hypnotize you. So I would suggest that we stay far away from this man, and we stay away from hearing any of his messages that he might want to deliver. I wouldn't pay him any attention, just totally ignore him. Now, you might be able to read an article from a newspaper or something like that, but I would be very careful. And if you're reading an article about it, I would only do that if you're trying to expose this person, like this Antichrist. But if you're not trying to expose the Antichrist, and I would just suggest staying away from it all. No, don't even pay him any mind and ignore him completely. Now I want to read Daniel 8:23, King James Version. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. Dark sentences like something extremely evil, like witchcraft type stuff, where you like hocus pocus type stuff. So I just thought I'd let you hear that, because that would be a reason why to stay away from this Antichrist. I would like to read that Daniel 8:23 from a different Bible version, and I pulled it up on my phone, and I'm getting a lot of different Bible versions here. And let's start with Daniel 8:23. It's the BRG version. And in the latter times of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentence shall stand up. Here's another one, Daniel 8:23 CJB. In the latter part of their reign, when the evildoers have become as evil as possible, there will arise an arrogant king skilled in intrigue. So if you understand what it's saying here, it's saying that when the evildoers are as evil as possible, then this, Antichrist will rise. All you have to do is take a look around and you can see that we're pretty much at that point. With the homosexual agenda worldwide, with, people having abortions daily, and they're having full-term abortions in some areas, and what they're doing is they're killing the baby by snipping the back of their neck or something like that. And also with the pedophiles wanting their right to molest children. I mean, there's just a lot of evil stuff that's going on. Like in San Francisco, I just heard that I guess it's legal for them to run around naked in San Francisco. And that's just crazy. We're definitely living in the days like Sodom and Gomorrah's days. And we also are living in the days like Noah's days too, with people not knowing what's going on. They don't realize we're living in the end times. I mean, it's kind of weird, because I know they hear the news every once in a while, and they see like these mass animal die-offs, and it doesn't ring a bell, and it doesn't tell them anything to maybe grab their Bible and research what's going on. It's just amazing how many people are still asleep and they're not awakened. And then there's these churches that are still asleep, and I went to one of these churches and was thinking that they were awake. I didn't know that churches were asleep. I thought that they were a church. They would know what was going on, and the preacher would see all these end time Bible prophecies unfolding right before their eyes, and they would be telling everybody. And so I was excited to go to this church. And when I got there, I was happy and smiling, and I greeted the preacher. Everything was going really good. But then whenever I told them that we were living in the end times, that's when things took a turn for the worst. The preacher told me I wasn't anointed to know that kind of information, and it just turned really ugly. And I got attacked, and this person spoke in Spanish, and I don't know Spanish. So he was talking in Spanish. My mom understood what he was saying, but my mom is a very respectful lady, and she was just quiet. She didn't like what he was saying, I could tell you that much. But she wasn't going to make things worse, I guess. And I just waited patiently for the service to be over, and I told myself I'd never go back to that church again. So right now there's a lot of people that are asleep, and they don't know the times that we're living in. And when you tell them, they don't want to listen. They think you're full of baloney, and they think they got millions of years left on this earth. They don't see the Bible prophecies coming to pass. And I can tell you why. Is because most people that go to churches, they don't learn about the Bible prophecies. They learn about tithing and offerings and how to love one another, things like that. But they didn't learn about the end time Bible prophecies, and that was what they needed to know. Don't get me wrong, we also need to learn, stuff about, loving one another, and, tithing and offerings, and, things like that too. But we also need to learn about the end time Bible prophecies. We have to know what to look for and what to watch for. And preachers are not preaching on that subject, and it's because they are part of this government type assistant program or something, I don't know what they call it, that they don't pay taxes. And while it's kind of like an agreement, they don't pay taxes, and the church is being controlled by the government, and there's certain things they can't preach on. And I know that for a fact. And the reason why I know that is because the man that was at that church that was giving me a hard time, he told me that they couldn't preach on certain subjects, and that he'd appreciate it if I would stop talking about it. The only reason why I know about end time Bible prophecies, and I don't know everything, I know enough, but the only reason why I knew is because when I was a little girl, I didn't go outside and play with the rest of the kids because I had osteogenesis imperfecta, which is a brittle bone disease. So I wasn't allowed to go outside. And so I had other things that I could do, which was read my Bible, or I would crochet or do arts and crafts. And so I spent some time reading my Bible, and I used to love highlighting. I would highlight the whole Bible if I could. But I would sit there and read and highlight the stuff that I enjoyed reading. And then I got fascinated because it started talking about end times. And I started, researching the end times. And I had a stepfather. He was a religious man, and I went to him and I asked him what certain things meant, and it was pertaining to the end times. And he told me, why are you researching the end times whenever that's never going to happen in your lifetime? And surely, he didn't know that we were going to be in the end times, but it's just kind of strange that he said that. And look, we are in the end times. The falling away looks like it's already happening, and it's happening with this gay agenda that's taking place right now. A lot of churches are accepting the court ruling, and they're marrying these homosexual couples and taking part in their sin and allowing them to make out in the church with one another, which we know is an abomination to God. So the falling away, it's already happening. It's been happening for a long time now. I want to continue reading 2 Thessalonians 2, starting with verse 3. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Right now they have plans to start building on the third temple. I don't know how this is all going to work out. I don't know how long it's going to take, but you got to think, if they really want it built, they can build it, and they probably can build it pretty fast if they put enough workers to, work on this project. Alright, I'm going to continue where I left off. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. I find this extremely interesting because, our Bible says that we won't know the day or hour when our Lord cometh, but we can know the season, and I can tell you right now we're in that season. And then this rabbi comes out and says that their Messiah is coming sometime in September. They can know the day and hour because they're not talking about Jesus. They're talking about the Antichrist. So with what they're saying about, the Antichrist going to show up in September, and we read our Bible and we see that the Antichrist is first revealed and then Jesus returns, then we know that our time is short, because it tells us that the Antichrist will be revealed before Jesus returns. Even though in the Bible, when we read our Bible, it don't tell us the day or the hour. But now if we go off of what this rabbi is saying, that their Antichrist is coming in September, that could possibly mean that Jesus could be here in September. Now, I'm not going to make a promise or or anything like that, because there could be other scriptures that need to be fulfilled. But I just know that it is a watch time for us to keep watch and to be prepared, because we never know. This might be our time to go home to be with the Lord. And I find it exciting, and I really hope that this is it. I hope that this is the time that we get to go home and be with the Lord. I've already exhausted from all this evil that's in this world, because I'm a watchman on the wall. I see a lot of stuff that I have, I do what God wants me to do. I watch, and some of the things that I watch aren't fun to watch. and it's heartbreaking. And I sound the alarm, and I've been doing this for a while, and it can get sad and depressing, but God gives me a heart to be able to deal with this. But I am getting tired of seeing all this suffering and pain, and so I really hope this is it, that we get to go home. I would also like to add this. I don't know if this would apply to us or not, but it's advice that I give my children, and I'd like to give the same advice to y'all too, just in case. But I don't have any actual scriptures to back this up. It's just advice. When Jesus takes us in the rapture, I would suggest don't look back, because how Lot's wife, she was told not to look back, and the wrath of God was being poured out on the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, and she looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. I mean, I'm sure we won't turn into a pillar of salt, but we're living in the times like Sodom and Gomorrah's times, and He's going to save us from the wrath that's to come. So I would suggest that whenever He's taking us up into the sky, don't look back. That's just my advice. You can take it or leave it, but I'm not going to look back. I'd be glad whenever Jesus takes us home. I wouldn't want to look back and miss that, be missing anything here. I'm just ready to go, and I leave my loved ones in God's hands, because I know that He loves them more than I love them, and He will do what He can to help them to make it to heaven. And so I leave them in God's hands. Well, I just wanted to share this with y'all, and God bless you all, and I love you, and please continue praying for me, and I've been praying for y'all too, and I love you. All right, bye-bye.